I ran because the air behind me felt timed, like footsteps hiding inside my own. When I slowed, it slowed. When I stopped under the light, the silence felt closer than it should.
That door didn't move from wind. It closed like a choice, slow, certain. I told myself it was nothing, but my body didn't listen, because empty hallways don't usually decide to shut.
In daylight, the campus looks harmless, like it can't hide anything. Then you see the missing poster and your stomach drops. Another girl, another name. Everyone keeps walking, and you realize the world won't pause if you vanish.
I locked the door like it could seal the fear out. Once, twice. Then it clicked again, quiet, patient, like someone tested it from the other side. I didn't move because moving felt like agreeing.
I wasn't even holding my phone when it woke up. The camera opened like it wanted to show me something. I aimed it behind me, searching for a face, and found only the feeling of eyes on my neck.
On the screen, someone stood where no one stood. Just a shape, too still, too calm, like it belonged to the room. When I looked up, the exit was empty, but my skin didn't believe it.
The alert changed while I was reading it, like the campus was counting out loud. Another student missing. Everyone around me kept smiling, kept walking, and I wondered how many steps you can take before nobody remembers you were there.
Hey, Mom. It's me. Can you?
Hi, you've reached. Please leave a message after the...
Mom didn't answer. The voicemail did, and then a crackle like someone leaned into the line. It was only a second, but it felt deliberate, like a reminder that even my calls weren't private anymore. I didn't take the shortcut. I stayed where the lights could see me, but the darkness moved anyway, one smooth shadow across the path. The grass whispered like something passed through, and my heart followed it without permission.
I saw him in the glass before I saw him in the world. When I turned, there was nothing. When I faced the doors again, the reflection felt crowded, like the mirror knew someone was there, even if the night refused to confess. The book opened to a page I never folded, creased too neatly to be an accident. It felt like a fingertip in my life, pointing. The library stayed quiet, but my skin didn't. Someone had been close enough to choose a page for me. My mirror wasn't pointing where it should. When I fixed it, it showed me a shape that didn't belong, then nothing. I looked up and saw only empty concrete. But the feeling stayed, like someone had just stepped out of my life.
My trunk was open like someone expected me to use it. It was empty, but it didn't feel harmless. It felt ready. I shut it as gently as I could because the emptiness wasn't random. It was waiting for something.
My drawer was open like someone had been curious. Everything inside looked normal, except one thing set too perfectly, too deliberate. It wasn't a mess. It was a statement. And the worst part was realizing someone had time to be careful.
Someone circled my building like a target, the ink smeared under my finger, fresh enough to feel alive. I looked up, waiting for a face or a laugh. There was only dark air, and the sense that it was watching back.
The officer looked at me, then looked through me, like he recognized something behind my shoulder. I spun around and saw nothing, just empty pavement. The cruiser kept moving, and I realized someone else might be watching me, on purpose.
I saw him, just enough to prove I wasn't imagining it. A shape near the pillar, calm and still, then gone. Not chasing me, not fleeing, just guiding the distance between us like he wanted me to follow and didn't care if I did.
The stairwell made every sound feel close. Steps below, slow, patient. I stopped, and they stopped. I moved, and they moved. Whatever followed me wasn't rushing. It was matching me, like it already knew.
The elevator mirror showed me a shape the hallway refused to hold. Too calm, too still. The doors closed, and the proof vanished. I stared at my own reflection, waiting for the next sound to explain it.
The message warned me before the moment even happened. I stared at the timestamp, sure it had to be a glitch. But my skin went cold anyway, because it sounded confident. Like someone already knew where I'd be next. I
stepped toward the shortcut on purpose, just to prove the text was wrong. The light above me buzzed and died like it was scared. In the dark that followed, I understood the warning wasn't advice. It was control.
My phone buzzed again. One word. Good. Not relief. Approval. Like I'd obeyed. I stood there in the light, staring into the dark, realizing someone wasn't just watching me. They were steering me, step by step.
For a second, it felt normal again, until my friend went silent mid-step.
Their eyes locked past me, wide and worried. I turned slowly, already knowing what I'd find. Not a face, not proof. Just the same empty space that still felt occupied.
My friend whispered, "That guy again," like saying it too loud would summon him. I looked across the quad and saw movement. A shape, swallowed by people. No clear face, no proof. Just the awful certainty that someone could be that close and still stay invisible.
I filmed myself walking just to prove I was paranoid. Then I replayed it and heard my name faint under the wind. Tara. I looked around and saw nobody. I replayed it again. The whisper stayed, like it lived inside the recording.
They handed out safety flyers like it was routine. I took one, then felt another in my bag. Same paper, same crease. Like someone packed it for me ahead of time. I sat there holding both, realizing I wasn't just being watched. I was being prepared.
Across the quad, someone stood under a lamp like a cutout, perfectly still, too patient to be lost. I stared until my eyes hurt, waiting for him to move. He didn't. And that was worse, because it felt like he was waiting for me.
I zoomed in like my phone could turn fear into proof. The figure was still there, blurred but real enough. I looked up with my own eyes, then back to the screen, and it was empty. No footsteps, no movement. Just gone, like it was never meant to be caught. My laptop woke up by itself, like it had been waiting. The screen lit my hands even though they weren't moving. Then the cursor slid, just a little, like a finger tracing the edge of a secret. I didn't touch a thing, because touching it felt like answering.
A campus map opened on my screen like it belonged there. Then a pin dropped onto my route. Exact, personal. Another appeared near the shortcut I'd avoided. My throat tightened because it wasn't a threat written in words. It was someone proving they knew my footsteps.
And I finally went to security and laid it all out. Texts, maps, the feeling in my bones. The guard didn't look surprised. He just nodded like he'd been briefed. His mouth formed two words I'll never forget. We know. And then he looked at a back room like someone was coming.
I asked what they meant, and he wouldn't answer. He glanced at a backroom door that was half open, darker than it should be. The door shifted, like someone stood just behind it. He stepped to block my view and waved me out. That's when I knew this place wasn't safe.
I walked out, furious, until I saw a list on the wall. Names in neat rows like paperwork. My eyes landed on mine. Tara. Already there. Already tracked. My stomach turned because it meant someone decided I needed an escort before I ever asked for help.
I kept pepper spray in my fist like it could make me brave. Under the lamp I checked it, and the safety was already off. I hadn't touched it. My fingers went numb because it meant someone had been close enough to arm me and still stay invisible.
It slipped from my hand and hit the ground with a sharp clack. I didn't move. Then it wasn't lying down anymore. It was standing upright, carefully, like someone had fixed my mistake for me. I looked up, and the night stayed empty on purpose.
I felt the lens before I saw it. When I looked up, the security camera tilted, just a little, like an eye adjusting. That tiny movement made my skin crawl. Cameras aren't supposed to notice you. They're supposed to record after. This one was watching in real time.
I tried the camera portal like it would finally prove I wasn't crazy. Click, nothing, unavailable, refresh, still nothing. It felt personal, like a hand over my eyes. The campus could watch everyone, except the moment I needed it to watch for me.
The feed finally came alive, and a man was already there. Not close enough to see, but close enough to feel. He paused, then looked straight up at the camera like he knew I was watching through it. My throat went tight, because that wasn't hiding. That was control.
I replayed it again and again, looking for something human and sloppy. But his movements were clean, measured, efficient, like training, not obsession. That made it worse. A normal stalker wants to be seen. This felt like someone who knew exactly how not to be.
In daylight, I finally saw him. Not a shadow, not a reflection. Tall, calm, moving like he belonged to danger. He didn't leer or rush. He simply crossed my world and disappeared behind a building like he'd planned it. And that's when my fear changed shape.
I scrolled through old photos looking for comfort and found a pattern instead. Prom, graduation, birthdays. He was missing from all of them, like he'd chosen absence as a habit. Then I zoomed into one picture and saw a blurred shape at the edge, like someone had been there and stayed out of frame on purpose.
I needed proof, so I set a trap a child would understand. A coin balanced where it couldn't be moved without falling. When I came back, the door was closed, and the coin was gone. No scrape, no sound, just the quiet certainty that someone had touched my door and cleaned up after.
My closet was open, just a crack, like a mouth that hadn't finished closing. I stood there listening for a sound that would explain it. Then I pulled it wide and found only my clothes, hanging harmlessly. But the air in the room stayed tense because empty wasn't the same as safe anymore.
I used my phone light like it could chase fear into the corners. The beam swept the room, steady, then flickered. Once, twice. The second time it died for a heartbeat and I froze because it felt like something had stepped between me and the light just long enough to remind me it could.
Another alert popped up while I was sitting in the sun, pretending everything was fine. Another girl missing. I looked up and saw a poster on the pole beside me, last seen near this spot. The world didn't change around me, but it felt like the circle had tightened, and I was standing inside it.
I changed everything. Routes, entrances, timing, like I could shake the feeling loose. For 1 minute, it worked. Then I saw the mark waiting along my new path, like someone had updated a map the moment I decided. My stomach dropped, because it meant I wasn't being followed.
A note appeared beside my notebook like it had always belonged there. It said I was safe, but it felt like a leash. When I touched it, the ink smeared, still wet. That meant whoever left it had been close enough to breathe on me, and gone before I could look up.
I showed my friend the note expecting them to laugh it off. They didn't. Then their phone rang, unknown number, and their whole face changed. They didn't answer, they just stared at it like it was a hand reaching through the screen. The ringing went on too long, and when it stopped, the silence felt loaded.
I watched the car like it was a predator that finally showed itself. It rolled, it paused, like it was deciding. I looked down for 1 second, then back up, and it was gone. Not leaving, just erased.
Their voices were low, swallowed by concrete, but one word cut through the echo. Tonight. The calm one didn't move like he was nervous. The other kept pacing like a dog on a chain, and I realized I wasn't overhearing strangers. I was hearing a plan. Then I heard a third set of footsteps, steady, patient, not rushed. The restless one stopped like he'd been yanked by a leash. Even the calm one turned his head. I couldn't see who it was, but I felt the air change.
I saw it. Just a shadow sliding behind them, tall and controlled, like it knew where every light ended. The twitchy one flinched. The calm one shifted his feet. Then it vanished.
They left like something shifted behind them. The twitchy one kept looking back, scared. Even the calm one moved faster, controlled but cautious. I stayed hidden, listening to their steps fade, wondering who scares men like that.
A text came from nowhere. A photo loaded. Me at prom, smiling, shot from far away. The timestamp said last week. My throat closed. Someone had watched my life and stayed close.
My hand shook, and the phone slipped. When I grabbed it back, the photo was gone, like it never existed. I swiped, searched, refreshed. Nothing. That's when I understood. Someone could touch my life and leave no fingerprints. On my laptop, a line flashed for half a second. Shared by John. Then it was gone, like the screen swallowed it. I refreshed until my fingers hurt. Nothing. Just my reflection staring back, and the sense that someone was very close.
I searched the directory like it could prove I wasn't losing my mind. Anything. No matches found. Over and over, like he didn't exist anywhere that mattered. Then a sound came from the hall, and my stomach dropped again.
The officer didn't laugh or doubt me. He just stared past my shoulder like someone might walk in any second. Then he said, "Stay inside tonight. No explanation. No comfort. Only the kind of warning that tells you they already know you're in danger."
The warning followed me into the hall. Lights ahead dimmed, then brightened, like the building blinked at me. When I slowed, the flicker slowed too. I stopped under a lamp and listened, afraid the dark was waiting with patience.
Across the quad, a tall silhouette waited in the mist. He lifted a hand, not a wave, a signal. My skin went cold. Students crossed between us, and when they passed, he'd shifted like he was guiding me without coming closer.
stepped out to look for him, and a calm voice spoke right behind me.
Go back inside.
I spun. Nothing. Only my reflection in the glass. When I grabbed the door, it opened too easily, like someone had already decided for me.
The door drifted open wider before I touched it, like someone had just let go. I stared through the glass and saw nothing. Only my own fear reflected back. I locked it anyway, and it clicked again after my hand left, quietly.
The hallway was empty through the peephole. No footsteps, no shape, nothing. But a shadow sat on the floor where the lights couldn't make one. It didn't match the ceiling. It matched something standing just out of sight.
Mom, you need to tell me what's going on, now.
Honey, I will. Listen, you need to stay in your room and don't...
Mom?
Mom? Call ended tone. Come on. Line hiss.
Hello?
Voicemail greeting tone.
Right after the call died, the campus siren test started. Too loud, too perfect. Windows lit up like eyes opening. The sound filled the night until it felt trapped inside my ribs, and I couldn't shake the thought that the timing wasn't random.
I started packing like leaving could fix everything. Clothes, charger, keys, anything I could grab fast. Then the routes updated, canceled, unavailable, canceled again. I refreshed until my thumb hurt. That's when it hit me. Someone didn't just want me scared. They wanted me stuck.
A driver accepted, then canceled. Another accepted, canceled faster. It kept happening like someone's finger hovered over a button, waiting for my name to appear. I stood under that bright light with my bags, realizing the pickup zone wasn't help. It was a spotlight. That's when I saw them. 2 men in the shadow of the garage, watching like they owned my next step. The calm one didn't move at all. The other shifted like he couldn't wait. I backed away, and neither followed, like they already knew I couldn't leave.
I ran into the cafeteria like the crowd could save me. Noise, lights, bodies, proof I wasn't alone. Then my panic swallowed the sound until it all went muffled. Everyone kept talking, kept laughing, and I realized you can be surrounded and still be trapped.
I hid in a stall like a child, knees tight to my chest. Footsteps came in, 2 sets, and stopped right in front of me. I stared at the gap under the door, waiting for a hand to reach down.
Tara, we just want to talk.
How do you know my name?
Then another set of footsteps came in, steady, patient, not hurried. The 2 men went quiet like someone pulled a cord. The new step stopped behind them and the whole bathroom held its breath. I couldn't tell if it was help. The bathroom door opened, then closed. No shouting, no struggle. Just one quiet movement and then nothing. When I looked under the stall, their shoes were gone, like the floor swallowed them. The silence afterward felt staged. I stepped out expecting hands to grab me, but the bathroom was empty. Mirrors, sinks, harsh light, nothing else. Then I saw my phone sitting on the sink, screen glowing like a lure. I couldn't remember letting it go. That scared me most.
The message was already there. Move. Now. My heart jumped before my brain caught up. Then something slammed outside. Metal on metal, like a warning shot. I didn't question it. I grabbed my bags and ran, because hesitation suddenly felt fatal.
I hit the elevator button like it could save me. The display stayed dead, out of service. I pressed again anyway, like denial was a plan. Then I turned to the stairs, gripping my backpack straps because the building was forcing me to move the hard way.
The stairwell made every sound feel too close. I climbed, and footsteps started below, steady, patient. I stopped, and they stopped. I moved again, and they followed, perfectly timed. I looked down into the empty space and felt my heart hammer. I got inside and slammed the door like it could end everything. The room was quiet, too quiet. Then the curtain moved. Cold air touched my face and I saw the window cracked open. I hadn't left it that way. I walked toward it anyway.
When I latched the window, I saw it. One handprint on the outside glass, fogged like it was fresh. I held my own hand up beside it, smaller by far. Whoever did that wasn't guessing where I lived. They were right there.
I peeked into the hall and saw it. Police tape on my neighbor's door, stretched tight like a warning. It looked fresh, like it had just happened. The tape fluttered in the air, and I backed away, realizing the danger wasn't outside campus. It was right here.
What happened?
She's missing?
I asked what happened, already knowing I'd hate the answer. The RA spoke in a different voice, low and shaken. She's missing. I stared at the tape and felt the hallway tighten. It wasn't a story anymore. It lived next door.
My laptop chimed like it had been waiting. One line filled the screen. Meet me, 11:15 p.m. library. No name, no reason. I checked the time. Already close. My hands hovered over the lid and I realized curiosity could be bait.
I watched the clock like it was a trigger. 11:14. The room held its breath with me. My phone buzzed once, but I couldn't look. Then the numbers changed, 11:15, and my body reacted like something had been released. I grabbed my bag and faced the door.
I walked to the library like the message could see me moving. The quad was empty, too open, too quiet. I stayed in the light and still checked the dark. Every time I looked back, there was nothing, and that made it worse. Nothing can follow silently.
Halfway there, footsteps started behind me, steady, measured, keeping the same distance. I slowed, and they slowed. I stopped, and they stopped. My spine went cold. Whatever was back there wasn't chasing me. It was matching me, like it had practiced.
At the library doors, 2 men were already there, waiting like it was scheduled. The calm one stood perfectly still. The other couldn't stop shifting. I didn't need them to move closer to understand. They weren't lost. They were early, and they were watching me.
I backed away and hit someone solid in the dark. A hand steadied my shoulder, firm, controlled, then let go. I spun, ready to scream, and there was nothing behind me, just cold air. That touch felt real, and the emptiness after felt planned.
Not here.
I turned and saw nothing. No body, no face. Just the certainty in that whisper. I moved toward the light like I'd been directed, hating that my feet obeyed before my mind did.
They didn't chase me. They repositioned. The calm one slid into my path like he'd mapped it already. The twitchy one angled in fast, hungry for the shortcut. I stopped, realizing I wasn't running from people. I was moving through a net.
A security car came down the road and my hope flared like a match. I stepped forward to wave it down. It slowed, then kept going. The driver didn't even look at me. The headlights swept past and left me behind, standing in the dark like I wasn't worth saving.
When the security car vanished, the calm man stepped into the light like he'd been invited. He smiled, small, polite, certain. Not a stranger's smile, a handler's. The other one shifted behind him, restless. That's when I understood. They weren't hoping to catch me, they were waiting to collect me.
I ran, and the world narrowed to breath and wet pavement. Then a hand hooked my backpack strap and yanked hard. I stumbled, almost went down. The calm man didn't rush, he just closed in like time. I slipped out of the strap and bolted, shaking.
My foot hit a slick patch and slid out from under me. I went down hard, knee first, breath knocked loose. I grabbed the railing, tried to rise, then hands caught my shoulders. Not wild, controlled, like they'd practiced the exact moment I would fall.
Phone kept filming from the ground, catching only boots and shadows sliding past like a quiet crowd. I heard my own breathing somewhere above it. The view tilted toward darkness, and the light disappeared in silence.
Then a third pair of boots stepped in, steady, patient, closer than the others. The first 2 shifted like they recognized the presence. The camera tried to focus and failed. The screen dimmed on its own, and the last thing it held was silence. The world turned into engine hum and passing lights. I couldn't tell where we were, only that we were moving fast.
We have her.
A calm man answered his phone and said,
We have her.
My stomach dropped. The window reflected my face back at me like a warning. Breathes out shakily. I shifted and the twitchy one snapped. Stop. Like my breathing annoyed him. The calm one answered softly. Easy. Like he was managing a situation, not a person. Their voices did all the work. I couldn't see them clearly, but I could feel control.
The car slowed and the campus lights vanished. Fences slid past the window, then a service gate. Inside, keys jingled, too many, too heavy, like a place with rules and locked doors. The engine stopped. In the silence, that keyring sounded closer than any voice.
My shoes hit wet concrete and the sound felt too loud. Chains hung from a gate and swayed like they were alive. Somewhere deeper inside, metal clanked shut. One hard note that said, closed. I looked for an exit and found only fences, shadows, and the smell of cold air.
Inside, the building felt too big and too quiet. I looked up at the rafters and saw a shadow shift. High, controlled, watching from above.
The twitchy man glanced up too. The calm one didn't. Then the shadow was gone, swallowed by beams and darkness. They left me in a small room with walls that didn't echo. The vent above me hummed like a tired animal. I tried to breathe with it, steady, quiet, until the pitch changed.
Footsteps came down the hall, slow, steady, unhurried. They stopped at my door. Silence pressed in until I could hear my own heartbeat. Then the handle shifted, just slightly, like someone was checking how easy it would be to open my life again.
Drink. You're not the first.
The door opened and the calm man appeared like this was normal. He set down a bottle of water and said,
Drink.
I didn't move. Then he added, quiet and certain.
Drink.
He shut the door gently and the bottle sat there like bait.
I asked, why are you doing this? And my voice sounded small in that room. He didn't raise his voice or threaten me. He just said, you'll understand soon, like it was already decided. The door closed softly and the vent changed pitch again, like someone was listening. And
I heard tapping, soft, impatient, then noticed a small window in the door. A shadow slid into it at eye level, watching me without speaking. Another tap. I stepped back, heart racing. The shadow lingered one beat too long, then disappeared, leaving the glass looking blind again.
The door slammed once, so hard the room jumped. I flinched and the water bottle rolled across the floor like it wanted to escape. A man muttered outside, angry, close, then went quiet. That was the worst part. Silence meant he was still there, deciding what to do next.
2 men argued outside my door. One sharp and restless, one calm like a manager. Then the calm voice said,
We need her intact.
The word hit me like cold water. After that, they went silent all at once, like they'd remembered I could hear everything.
When the hallway quieted, I found a key hidden where it shouldn't be. My heart leapt like it finally understood hope. I jammed it into the lock and turned, halfway. Then it stopped cold. Wrong key. I pulled it out shaking, realizing even escape could be planted. Tried the handle again, not expecting anything. It moved, just a little, like the latch hadn't been set. My skin went cold. I waited for footsteps, for shouting, for anything. Nothing. The door opened a crack and hallway light spilled in, and I realized the worst truth.
The door behind me wasn't a victory. It was a countdown. The corridor split ahead. One side lit and flickering, the other almost black with an exit sign far away. I stood between them, listening to the building hum. Sometimes the scariest trap is being forced to choose.
A faint buzz echoed in the corridor, like a phone vibrating on concrete. It stopped when I stopped. Then it buzzed again, closer, like it wanted me to follow. I found a device half in shadow and reached for it, and the vibration died instantly, as if it knew I was listening. I pushed the exit door, expecting a siren to explode. The hinge screamed, cold air hit my face, and nothing else happened. No alarm, no lights, just silence. That's when I knew this wasn't a normal building. Someone wanted the door to open and wanted me to take it.
I ran into the open lot and the cold air burned my lungs. Then headlights snapped on behind me like a trap springing shut. The light pinned my shadow to the pavement. I stopped without meaning to, because the beam felt aimed, and I was terrified of what it wanted me to see.
A tall figure stepped into the headlights like he'd been there all along. He didn't rush or shout, just raised a hand, steady, commanding someone in the dark to stop. I couldn't see his face, only his shape, and for one terrifying second I didn't know if he was my rescue.
2 shadows rushed him from the edge of the light. He didn't flinch, he just shifted once, placing himself between me and them. Then the beam filled with moving silhouettes and muffled thuds. I backed up, shaking, because I couldn't tell who was winning, only that it was close.
Then it stopped. No shouting, no footsteps, just the engine idling in the wind. The tall silhouette stayed in the beam, perfectly steady, like chaos was something he could switch off. I took 1 step forward, shaking, because silence can mean safety, or it can mean the worst is finished.
You're safe.
Who are you?
He looked at me and said,
You're safe.
in a calm, steady voice. I didn't believe him yet. I whispered.
Who are you?
He didn't rush to explain. He just scanned the darkness once, then faced me again, like his job was to stand between. He held one hand up, keeping me back, then moved with calm precision. He crouched, checked the area like he'd done it 100 times, and stood again without a word. Watching him work scared me almost as much as the chase. Nobody moves that clean unless they've seen worse.
Who are you?
Your dad sent me.
My dad works logistics.
Not exactly.
How does a guy in logistics know someone like you?
He told you did. Your dad saved my life.
John held out a ringing phone like an offering. I wouldn't touch it. The collar was blocked, relentless, vibrating in his palm. The sound filled the night, louder than footsteps. I stared at that screen and understood. This wasn't a call, it was a door.
Tara, it's Dad. I know it's late. I'm guessing you're not going to pick up, and that's all right. I just wanted you to hear my voice so you know I'm still here. Whatever's going on, you don't have to carry it by yourself. Call me when you can. I'll be awake. Always. Tara, I'm sorry.
The voicemail said my name then. An older voice. My father's. I didn't answer. I couldn't.
John didn't speak out loud, he just showed me proof. Worn, personal, carried for years. It wasn't a threat, it was history. And the meaning was clear, my father hadn't been some logistics ghost. He'd saved someone who now stood here for me.
John pointed, and I followed his gesture to a dark SUV at the edge of the lot. Inside was a still silhouette, older, familiar in the way it held itself. My chest tightened. I'd cut my father off, but the shape in that car felt like proof he never cut me off back.
A prom photo flashed in my head. Warm lights, my smile, everyone cheering. Then the memory widened, and I saw him at the edge near a doorway, half hidden, watching like he didn't belong. I'd always thought he wasn't there. Now I realized I just never looked.
Once graduation came back next, sunlight, applause, my cap tugged down over my hair. I remembered searching the crowd and finding nothing, but in the flicker of that memory, I saw him at the far edge, half blocked, watching like a stranger. He was there. I just never noticed.
The memories lined up like evidence, and my anger ran out of places to hide. He had been there, prom, graduation, all of it, just outside my frame. John didn't say anything. He only nodded once, and that tiny motion hit harder than a confession. My hands shook like I was meeting a ghost.
I wanted to scream at him for lying, for hiding, for letting me think I'd been abandoned, but grief kept cutting in, sharp and humiliating. I wiped my face like I could erase it. 6 years of silence doesn't vanish in one night. It just comes rushing back all at once.
John showed me the phone, call attempts stacked like scars. Not one dramatic message, just trying, again and again. My anger slipped, replaced by something worse, regret. I'd stopped picking up because it hurt, but the screen said he kept calling anyway.
John's phone lit up again, this time with a name that wasn't family, something coded. He declined it instantly, like he already knew what it meant. I caught the label and felt my stomach drop. This wasn't just about me. It was a network, and it was still active.
The coded call, the silence, the way John watched angles, none of it felt like campus anymore. I looked toward the SUV and understood I'd been living inside something I couldn't see. My fear wasn't just about tonight. It was about how long this had been happening, behind my back.
Missing person flyers sat on top, faces staring up from paper. Not just one, not just me. My stomach turned as I realized someone had been tracking this for a long time, and my name was only a single file.
The faces in those files weren't random. They were girls from campus, from nearby towns, from places I'd never been. I touched one flyer and pulled my hand back like it burned. This wasn't a single stalker, it was a system.
I stared into the dark beyond the fence, and it felt like the campus was still watching me from miles away. John stood close, steady. The trunk clicked shut, then my phone buzzed once and went dead. In that moment, I understood. This wasn't random, and it wasn't finished.
The poster fluttered beside me like it was still searching. I let myself breathe, just once, because surviving isn't the same as feeling safe. Behind me, the shadow stayed occupied. If you want more stories like this, subscribe and don't take the shortcut.